When I moved to Iceland, I actually ended up working in a greenhouse for about 5 years and just fell in love with it. And I think it's kind of common with a lot of people. You get kind of bitten by that plant bug and you just can't stop growing things, which, yeah, it can be a really expensive hobby, but a very successful career, I think. It's made just being in garðyrkjuskólan for 2 years, like the garden school. There's so much knowledge they cram into you, and just you kind of learn a new way of thinking about things. And even after working in a greenhouse for 5 years, there's still so much to learn. And it's that's something that's interesting. The school actually gears you to be ready for whatever area you end up going into. If you're in forestry or growing stuff inside, there's you get a basic kind of intro to it, but then you're also you have a lot more possibilities when you graduate because you can go in any direction that you feel passionate about, I guess. I've really enjoyed it, especially just this last year, being able to both I was living in the countryside, so I moved back to Reykjavik, and that's one thing that's been kind of nice, because my work in Reykjavik, that's still for working with Landbúnaðarháskóli. But then my school is in Hveragerði, so I get to get out of the city some and actually see the countryside. And the school's been really good about, they'll take us on to, I think we've visited half the greenhouses in the country at this point. It's really amazing. There's just kind of endless opportunities, really. I mean, if you look at what's just been going on the last 5 years, there's a greenhouse in Egilsstaðir where they're growing wasabi, one of the hardest plants to grow outside of its. It grows in Japan, normally in kind of shaded forest by certain rivers. And they're basically built a greenhouse to model that environment. So if you can grow one of the most difficult plants very far from its natural environment, you can do anything here. There is no limit. This is something, yeah, that, I mean, when you work with plants for a long time, it's just a very calmness that you can get to. And when I was working in the greenhouse out in the countryside for 5 years, just on a daily basis, you learn kind of how to slow down, and you really retune yourself to be in line with the season. So if you're growing flowers for Christmas, jólastjarna, you actually start those in the middle of the summer, and so you can kind of see Christmas coming, just in the greenhouse as the leaves start to turn red, and just really get in tune with that seasonalness. If you're really passionate about something, that's the best place to start with. For me, it's really been interesting because the whole school is taught in Icelandic, and for me they've been very supportive, and I get to write my assignments mostly in English, sometimes in Icelandic on group projects, but there's just been so much support from the faculty, kind of going above and beyond what's really required and expected. So it's being able to work one-on-one with just a couple of students and teachers, it's really makes such a difference, and it gives a little bit more flexibility to how you work as a student, just because they basically they want you to succeed, and so you have this good foundation of really knowledgeable people you're working with. And it's improved my Icelandic, having to listen to Icelandic lectures. I'm really good at listening about plants, but I think I'll get there in another couple of years or two. But yeah, it's just made me a better person, I think. Yeah, it's very inviting, and especially as a foreigner in Iceland, you don't really know what you're walking into necessarily when you go to a business or a different facility or sign up for a 2-year program. But yeah, it's just, and that's something I've noticed a lot with people who work with plants. They just because when you're taking care of a plant, it's never going to talk back to you. It's always just going to give whatever you give to it. But you still have a relationship with these plants. You want them to be healthy, and you get a little sad when they're not working out so great. And I think it's the same with students and teachers. You're planting knowledge in people, and you want to see it grow and thrive. So it's really important. I've made some really good friends at garðyrkjuskólan. I never really thought about that, but last summer we took a trip to the UK, just we were visiting just British farms to see how they do it over there compared to how we do it over here, and just going on a trip like that with some close people who are also obsessed with plants. Every time we'd see a flower, there'd be 15 students going and taking a picture of it. But then we also, like we're hanging out like in the evenings and just it's the kind of thing like where like when you work so closely with people who are passionate about the same thing, like you can't help but form these like lifelong friendships and connections.